Hey, guys, we sincerely appreciate you listening to another episode of the Showdown Podcast. We really think you're going to enjoy this episode where we go back and see if Big Trouble in Little China holds up. We do want to make a quick announcement, though. Tomorrow evening, if you're listening on Thursday, or 2 days from now if you're maybe listening on Wednesday, maybe this came out early. Maybe we give you a special treat.
If I actually took your advice and put it out early.
So you're probably listening Thursday.
Because we know he doesn't take anyone's advice.
But Friday evening, June 17th at Indianapolis PopCon at the Indianapolis Convention Center downtown, we are going to be recording our first live episode ever. It is the Disney Death Match. It is going to be The Lion King versus The Incredibles, and we are going to be doing it live at 6 o'clock on the podcast stage. They're at Indianapolis PopCon at the Indianapolis Convention Center downtown. That's June 17th at 6 o'clock. If you're going to be at PopCon, please stop by and see us after we get done recording. We're going to be going around and interviewing people as well and doing our normal
Signing
showdown
autographs.
thing. Yeah, you keep thinking that. Oh, I didn't even have time to get... I didn't think we were going to be... This is a historic first for the showdown. For the first time before we even get to the episode.
He's in rare form tonight, folks.
So I know when you didn't hear the regular intro, you assumed that this was Corey paying respects to Gordie Howe or Muhammad Ali, or telling about how much of an influence they had in his life. But it's actually just to let you know good news. PopCon is coming up this Friday, June 17th. We're going to be there. Corey's Lion King versus Vic's Incredibles. Sounds like really bad porn. We're gonna also, special treat, we're gonna let you, the audience, be a special guest judge.
That's right.
So if you guys come out and you sit in the audience, we are going to let you decide which of these guys wins, and you'll fill in that one vote role. So check that out. Friday, June 17th, 6 o'clock, Indianapolis Convention Center at Indianapolis PopCon.
Hey, Corey.
Yes.
Have you seen my super suit?
Your super suit?
Watch the movie.
Haven't watched it yet.
The Showdown Podcast presents the Survivor Series with Corey Miller, Vic Miller, and Brad Scott. This week's episode, Big Trouble in Little China.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Welcome to the Showdown Podcast. This is another Survivor Series episode where we take a look at an older movie and see if it holds up. And today we are going to be talking about the 1986 fantasy action comedy movie Big Trouble in Little China, starring Kurt Russell, Kim Cattrall, and a lot of Asian people. I am joined, of course, by Corey.
You forgot to make up names.
I forgot to make up nicknames. Corey. Let's do it off the top. Let's just be
Cream
lazy.
of Young Young Guy Miller.
Sure. And Vic. Why wasn't there a black guy
In this movie.
Miller? And I am Brad, 7-foot Asian Scott. This movie starred Kurt Russell, Kim Cattrall, Yao Ming,
I didn't remember seeing it.
and a bunch of Jet Lis and Jackie Chan's.
A bunch of short motherfuckers that can kick real high.
So let's get into it.
Truck driver Jack Burton, played by Kurt Russell, and his friend who just happens to own a Chinese restaurant because they seem to hang out only in Chinatown. It's a very closed-in storyline.
You may not get this. You will. Did you have a hard time not thinking that that was Dolph Ziggler?
Who?
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell?
He looks exactly like Dolph Ziggler in this movie.
You think so?
Dolph Ziggler.
That's why I was saying.
Yeah, I guess I can kind of see it.
I mean,
this?
he's a wrestler.
Oh,
Google Dolph
Come
Ziggler.
into our world.
all right. Apparently,
Yeah, I can kind of see it. If Kurt Russell had long, stringy, blonde
Mainly,
hair.
it was mainly, especially the parts where he's wearing the hat.
Well, I'm looking at a picture right now where he's wearing the tank top, and Dolph has worn a tank top similar to that before, so I can kind of see it. Yeah.
Yeah, here,
For sure.
Vic.
He's thinking.
okay. I'm not.
He's not
I don't
buying
know.
it.
What? I'm telling you, you guys are crazy.
I said I could see it.
I'm gonna.
Maybe this picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Now-
I see that. I kind of see that.
Big Trouble, Little China. This is great podcast.
Yeah. So anyway, why don't you
Of
tell
course,
us?
derailed by wrestling once
Yeah,
again.
look at that.
I'm telling you, like
That looks like
that
Ziggler.
picture could get away with it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But so they are on their way to the airport to pick up Wang Chi's girlfriend,
He wins a bunch of money from him. First,
Miao
right?
Yin
Playing some stupid ass game.
Pachinko.
Oh, okay. I thought it was made up. But he wins
It's
a
actually
bunch.
one of
He
the
wins
highest grossing import games in Japan.
$1,000 something, right?
Yeah, something
Times
like that.
2.
It was enough for him to bring her here and get married is what he was going for. So he goes to pick her up, and she's a rare, special thing amongst the Chinese people, according to this story, because she has jade green eyes. And that apparently is something magical and mystical amongst the Chinese people. I didn't know this, but that's the way it works. So when they go to pick her up, at the same time, there is a Chinese street gang, the Lords of Death, who are also trying to pick up a chick from the airport to sell her as a sex slave, which seems like they probably should have waited until she left the airport to get her. I don't know. But they mix them up, and they end up taking Wang's girlfriend.
Wang.
And they take her to... when they take her, they actually assaulted the girl that they were going after originally, which is Gracie Law, played by Kim Cattrall's friend. So there's a big, huge, fuck up of information here, where they're kind of... Everyone's kind of there for one thing, and they all get mixed up, and all Asian people look alike, apparently, so they grab the wrong girl and yank and take off with her. And the Lords of Death basically get chased down by Jack Burton, and he is a big rig truck driver, so he drives his truck after them, which, again, doesn't seem like the best thing to try to chase down a bunch of guys, little Chinese guys in, but he gets stuck in an alleyway and basically gets caught in the crossfire between the triad, kind of like the triads and the Lords of Death. And in the interim, they are introduced to the Three Storms, who are the
Bunch of
supernatural,
Yes. Raiden.
badass, kung fu something or another's. Well, only one of them really is kind of the archetype of Raiden. The other two are kind of different.
They all wear the hat with the robes.
Oh yeah,
So
but
they're all
only
Raiden.
one of them actually throws lightning.
All
Which is
Raidens
Raiden.
look alike.
And actually, I don't know if this came out before
Mortal Kombat?
Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah,
but
it did.
They definitely.
Oh, this is out long before Mortal Kombat. This
Definitely
is
took
86.
that character from him because everything he
No,
does.
they said but apparently I read about that. Apparently, the straw hat controlling electricity figure is very popular.
Yes.
In Asian culture, so it's not like they
Correct.
necessarily stole it from this movie as much as this movie and Mortal Kombat just used that same character.
But even down to his screaming flying through the air thing is exactly the way that they did it.
What
with
Raiden
him.
does,
So,
too.
Like the blah, 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 and flying through the air with the lightning. That's exactly what
Raiden was the
does.
guy, right? Like if you just wanted, he was the dominant one
Yeah.
in the first Mortal Kombat because he could do that shit where you disappeared from the screen.
Yeah.
And the
Well,
flying
Liu
across.
Kang was the Ryu of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was the Ryu of that thing, and then Raiden was the Ken.
Although,
I always picked Scorpion
why is that?
Because he yelled "Get over here," and it was one of the only times that it was one of the first games to actually utilize something like
"Get over here."
I think I used to pick Raiden and Sub-Zero. Because
It wasn't until
the
later.
fart sound.
It wasn't until like Mortal Kombat 3, the Ultimate one, that I started using Sub-Zero.
And speaking of Street Fighter though, Xavier Woods, he's like a pro gamer of like old school games and stuff like that. E Honda is who he uses to be unstoppable
E Honda is a
because
fucking
of that
beast.
1,000-hand slap.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, sorry.
Getting back to Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
So, Jack Bird, like I said, he's chasing. They're trying to catch the guys who kidnapped the girls. They follow them into what?
What? No, go ahead.
They follow them into an alleyway, which they get blocked by a funeral procession. That is.
All you're doing is sidetracking and he's like, what's
ahead.
going on?
Go ahead.
I can't hear you.
He's
You're throwing me off.
I didn't think Rick could hear me through his headphones.
I can hear you mumbling, but he can probably hear what you're actually saying.
Yes, that's very true.
It's throwing me off completely. I've just lost it. So okay. So they run into the three storms, who are thunder, rain, and lightning, and each one of them are like supernatural super beings that can that basically step in and slaughter the two gangs that are fighting during the funeral. They work for Lo Pan, who is this like powerful, legendary sorcerer that lives underneath of the city for some reason. We don't quite know why he's there, but that's where he's from.
Well, he originally died and then came back.
Well,
right?
He got run over. Oh, you mean
No.
originally?
Like, yeah.
Yeah, he was like he has to be what do they call it?
Reincarnated?
Yeah, kind of reincarnated every whatever.
But I mean, but he dies. But then so wouldn't that make him a zombie?
Yeah, I guess it would kind of qualify him for.
He was so trying to set us up.
Oh Jesus! So this has just completely gone off the rail.
So Yao Ming.
Yes, Yao Ming, played by James Hong. He is this sorcerer who basically, at every like 500 years, whatever it is, he has to re-energize himself. And if he marries the jade-eyed princess, he gets like his powers back. So he's trying.
Is that the same guy that was that was in the Seinfeld Chinese restaurant? Seinfeld 4?
I don't know about
Don't
that,
watch
but
Seinfeld.
he was in Big Bang Theory, playing a Chinese restaurant dude.
Yeah, he sounds like that guy.
Yeah.
So sorry, go ahead.
So in the course of finding this guy, he
I'm
ends
making
up running.
Vic's job so hard this episode.
He ends up running over Lo Pan, freaks the hell out, jumps out of his truck, and is trying to figure out what's going on. In the interim, his truck gets stolen. It's his only source of income, so he needs to find it, and figures out that the street gang had stolen his truck, so he needs to go back and get it. They also have they have to save the girls because his friend's girlfriend's been stolen. She was supposed to be, she wasn't supposed to be who they were after, but they took her instead because they got her mixed up. And Lo Pan is now in love with her and wants to marry her because he wants the power that she possesses as a jade-eyed princess.
And that is the guy from the Seinfeld Chinese restaurant.
Okay. Glad we cleared that up.
Yeah, I'm glad we did.
No, I felt pretty proud of myself because I was like, okay, I was not stereotyping there. That dude legitimately sounded like I kept waiting for him to say that while he had his. I would take a bride, Seinfeld 4. Oh.
Thank you.
Well deserved. Go ahead. Okay, I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna.
Where I left off. I am all kinds of discombobulated at this point. I think we should make Brad do
The
this.
Jedi. He has the Jedi princess.
Okay, so he has a
he
Jedi
falls in love with
princess.
her.
He falls in love with her. He also figures out that Kim Cattrall is another Jedi princess.
Mm-hmm.
So he figures if he has two of them, he'll be twice as powerful. So he kidnaps her too. She is friends with one of her friends is because she's a writer for a newspaper, and one of her friends is a member of a good Chinese gang.
Oh yeah.
And that's trying to stop Lopan from basically taking over the world if he gets this about power. And he introduces them to Egg Shen, played by Victor Wong, who always plays a squinty-eyed old mystical Japanese guy. Is he the same guy from Gremlins? Is that the guy from Gremlins? I'm gonna take my
What's
stab.
his name in the movie?
Egg Chen. His name's Victor Wong.
Victor Wong.
Yeah, and he's basically a local authority on Lopan, and has fought him before.
No, he has not done
No?
any other movies.
What?
Yeah, he has.
There's
Oh,
no way.
He's
No,
the
hold
grand.
on,
He's
hold
the
on,
he's
hold
the grandfather.
Hold on, I correct myself.
He's the grandfather in Three Ninjas.
The trivia page has the wrong link.
He was in. Okay, so here's something interesting. He's in the Golden Child,
Yes.
which is like
I want.
they
some
actually
ass.
got shitty because they were like, oh, there hasn't been one of these Asian fantasy movies out in like decades, and now there's going to be two on like the same day. So they actually changed all their scheduling and moved everything up so they could open up 5 months earlier than the Golden Child. But he was in both. And let's see here. Now it does not look like. What was the movie you said,
I
Vic?
thought he was the old man.
Gremlins?
That sold, they gave him the gremlin.
No, he does not have Gremlins listed.
Okay.
You're a racist.
I'll take it. So he plays the local authority on Lopan. He explains to Jack that
They had a lot of fucking Three Ninjas movies.
yeah,
4?
Yeah, that
and
was
that's
pretty-
just what he was in?
it's a pretty regular franchise.
Okay, I
Hulk Hogan was in one of those too.
was he really?
Or did he do another?
Yeah, was it High Noon at Mega Mountain? Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And look at that poster. That is amazing. It looks like he's wearing the outfit that Bizarro Superman wore in the 4th movie. Blonde-haired Superman with the black
Yeah.
press-on nails. Remember that shit?
I knew he had something to do with one of them.
Like, all of a sudden, his big superpower was he became a black woman at the DMV.
A little bit of trivia. Kurt Russell turned down the lead role of Connor McLeod in Highlander to appear in this film.
You know why?
Big
You know why? The studios and everybody wanted him to do both. But he said, there can only be one.
I almost gave that to you.
I got the rare triple play. The triple play. It's like I bundled landline.
Thank you, AT&T or Comcast, either one.
I redeemed myself.
you
Okay,
go.
so where were we even at?
Okay, so they've kidnapped the girls.
Oh yeah, he figures out if he gets 2 wives, he'll be twice as strong.
Right, because the mystical power of the green-eyed princess is whatever. So they descend into his lair underneath of Chinatown, and they go to see Egg Shen, who does
Egg Chen. It sounded like you were just insulting the actor.
So he does tours of Chinatown, and he basically has all of his mystical. He's got holy hand grenades and all kinds of other crap in his possession. He's a sorcerer, but he hasn't had to use his craft since Lopan's been laying low, and he's the main authority on everything that he does. So his gang of, I guess you would say,
Is Cobra Kai?
yeah, exactly. They descend into the sewers to go and try to save the princesses from Lopan, and find out that he is a really kind of a demon himself, and has tons of these like different creatures in his employ, including an Eye of the Beholder. For some reason, there's like a Dungeons and Dragons character in this.
Oh, is that
Which one was that?
That
The
the
eye
eye
that-
thing
yeah,
that
the eye
floats
of the
around
eye.
that
Oh,
has
yeah,
an
yeah.
eye in its
Oh,
mouth?
oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Gross ass thing.
It's from Dungeons and Dragons. It's an Eye of the Beholder, and for whatever reason, all of a sudden, it's a Chinese thing. But and it's gross because when the thing licks its lips, it's got an eyeball on the end of its tongue, which is quite disgusting.
And and then the other thing that was like the most obvious mask ever.
the Yeti.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, why is the mouth not even gonna move at all? Yeah, you're not screaming, bud.
Yeah. Just,
Your mouth's barely open.
Was I the only one that really had trouble figuring out, like, because like they went down the stairs into the sewer, and then just like the location of everything. Was I the only one that felt like it was off? Like I didn't understand how all these
how
things
they got
could be
from place to
connected.
place.
Yeah.
They didn't have they didn't seem like a clear layout of where they were going, or
because like even though
and they even kept going back and forth places.
Yeah, I mean, even though you watch a movie and you haven't been in that specific location, when you see characters going from one place to another, you can kind of mentally figure out how the layout of something is. But with this, I was like, I don't understand how these are all connected together, especially when they get to Lopan's, I don't know, fortress or whatever. It's like, how is that? Is that above ground? Is that below ground?
The whole point of it is that it's old. It was part of old Chinatown.
So it's underground.
They built new Chinatown on top of it. So they were going through the sewer system because that's how you get into his like subterranean lair.
For me watching it, it was I was confused.
So when he figures out that, because he's obviously has to sacrifice the Green-Eyed Princess in order to regain his powers, because basically this dude is like a walking skeleton. You can see through his skin, like he's just not all there. But when he sees that Gracie is also a Green-Eyed Princess,
so how did he turn into the tall Yao Ming, like early on?
Because it expends all of his ability to become that character, which is his
so then he has to like recharge and stuff.
Yeah. So, but then like if you notice when he goes back down in the thing, he's like all weak and feeble because he expended all of his energy, and the reason why is because he needs to reconstitute himself. But he's got to sacrifice the Green-Eyed Princess in order for it to work. But then when he finds Gracie and says, "Oh, it's another Green-Eyed Princess," he's like, "I'm going to kill this bitch, and then I'm going to keep this bitch for my wife." So he decides he's going to unwillingly marry the Yao Ming.
He's got one to marry, one to kill. Where's his one to fuck?
Well, definitely ain't you, brother.
Well, I don't have green eyes.
So they sneak into his lair and they try to assault him, which they find out that this bitch is a Jedi and has like special Jedi powers and can like do all kinds of craziness. And that his they don't know that his men are also kind of demon themselves, and they end up getting the drop on Thunder, who is the guy that basically he's just huge and he can like punch through walls and everything else, and they try to fight him. And ends up being a pretty bad situation for them, and they end up having to retreat. Egg ends up getting them. He convinces them that he has a super potion that will allow them to fight all of these super beings.
What was that stuff?
I think it was just like juice. I'm pretty sure it was apple juice.
No, well, if you remember, they end up doing some crazy shit.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with it. Like he's like, you've had this in you the whole time. It was a placebo. The whole thing is that it was a placebo.
So that was really all.
Yeah, they were just like, he's like, he threw the knife, he caught it, threw it back at him really quick. Like all that shit was just like, it's all the stuff that they already had in them.
Because the one dude, I forget what the dude's name is, Kurt Russell's little sidekick type dude. That dude jumped from like one side of the stage all the way to the other.
However, that dude was like that was the little Jackie Chan guy, so he's been like training for that shit all of his life. So he's supposed to have already
Wang.
Wang.
Speaking of Jackie Chan, they actually wanted him for the movie to play Wang Chi, but he did not want to come over to the States and go back to Hollywood. He wanted to continue his career in Hong
his
Kong.
Fucking career in Hong Kong is off the hook.
Yeah,
bitch was putting out like 2 movies a year.
Yeah.
How big do you think Wang was?
Well, he was at least 6 foot tall.
Good one.
This is never gonna.
I'm television's Dave.
Wrong one. It's supposed to be this one.
Right?
Excuse me?
You were discussing Hulk Hogan's penis.
Yeah, because Terry Delay's penis is not 10 inches like you're trying to say.
All right.
All right.
Sit in that witness stand today that you were discussing the length of your penis on Bubba's radio program. Any doubt?
Well, it's not mine, because mine isn't that size. But we were discussing the length of Hulk Hogan's.
Seriously?
The best part. I'll look for any reason to play that. It's so damn good. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Wang.
So
We were talking about Wang.
they get their ass whipped when they first go down there, and basically run for the hills because they realize that they can't beat the three storms. So they go back with Egg Chen, who gives them this potion and says, "With this potion, you guys can accomplish anything. You can beat anyone." And Jack is like, "I'm a fucking man" after he drinks it because he buys into it full out. And they go back. When they go back, Lopan is starting the ritual and planning for the wedding to get ready to marry the Chi's girlfriend, Wang Chi's girlfriend. These names are fucking killing me. Miao Yin. Miao Yin.
Hello, kitty.
Meow. Oh, Jesus. Help me.
Jesus, take the podcast.
So they go back. I'm trying to remember all the fucking names. Eddie, who is the kind of the badass in the group, he goes in, he takes the potion, he goes in and fights Rain, who's the swordsman. He beats him. Jack goes down and fights Thunder, who in the master's chamber, he fights him, basically just about gets his ass kicked. And then he bests Thunder. Thunder gets pissed off and basically gets so mad that he inflates and explodes.
Yeah. Why? Why?
I don't understand why that had to be the way he went out, but
He's got a
that's how it
short
happened.
temper.
And they take out Lightning. Basically, he's beaten all their asses. They're trying to run for the hills. They climb up inside of the rafters to get away from, or inside of the catacombs above the thing that they climbed in through. He tries to rise up through there, and they drop a fucking block of cement on his head and take him out.
Which is bullshit. No one should have been afraid of lightning because you have a better chance of winning the lottery than getting hit by lightning. See how tough it is to have him ready? Yeah.
Beat me to it. So they kill Lightning. Now, basically, you have left, and they fight their way through, and they get the girls back, and he Lopan. Jesus fucking Christ, keeping these things straight is ridiculous. Lopan.
Yao Ming. That's how you think of it.
Sorry, Yao Ming.
Yao Ming.
He starts to get his powers back as he is like draining the life out of Gracie Lee, and which it's I don't know how else to explain it, but it is a crazy fucking ridiculous ride. They send the Yeti thing after them to try to catch them, and they basically escape it. They fight it out in this huge, gigantic duel in which our hero Jack Burton ends up having to go and save Gracie Lee, who he has fallen in love with now at this point,
Naturally.
from Yao Ming.
Yeah, who's up there just like cutting them open and
Yeah, and he's
Like
got
putting
these
their-
really nasty
becoming
fucking
blood
coke
brothers.
nails.
yeah,
Like
becoming
10-foot-long
blood
coke
brothers
nails.
with them.
And so they get into a fight, and Lopan feels that he is like below him. He's nothing. There's nothing about him that's very special. And Kurt Russell's like pretty much like, well, yeah, there really isn't anything special about me except for this one thing I can do, which is catch a knife and throw it back at you and stab you in the
Yeah, that was like very anticlimactic to
yeah.
me.
And I was like,
That's
what
all
the
it was.
Where the fuck did this come from? Like, he's literally been basically doing nothing but shooting a gun at people and running the entire time. And then all of a sudden, he's got like this adept ability to catch a knife out of midair and throw it back. Now, mind you, they say it's because of his invincibility potion he drank, but it didn't stop everybody else from getting their ass whipped.
I think that was just a little bit of Snake Plissken in him.
Of what?
Snake
Snake
Plissken.
Plissken.
What's
Escape
that?
from L.A., Escape from New York.
Oh, okay.
It was actually a timely reference, but so we can't really give it
No,
to him.
I wasn't
but-
giving it to him. No, I realized I didn't get the reference. That was on me. You know what? I tell you what. For me, because I didn't get the reference. All right. So then he's dead.
Yeah, they kill him. The Mao Ying and Wang Chi get back together. They go back to his Chinese food restaurant, and I'm assuming get married, have 2 kids, and serve Chinese food to the rest of the populace. And basically, Burton is like, "Well, I'm a long haul trucker, and I don't have time for this thing called love." So he basically gives Kim Cattrall the blow off.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I mean, I preferred that. It was a little.
But after going through all that shit, to just be like, whatever.
Well, I mean, if he ended up with her, then that's almost like, well, we saw that coming a mile away, because that's the way every film ends.
That's exactly what they did throughout the whole movie, and then all of a sudden be like, no, I don't care, and drive off, which is fine. Like you said, it's actually a little bit better that he's that much of a dick because he plays a dick through the entire freaking movie. So for him to all of a sudden, I guess, to change and be like, oh yeah, I like you, I'm going to hang around.
Well, and to be honest, Kim Cattrall's not that hot. You gonna kiss her goodbye? Nope. Nope, not at all.
And just think, and let her straight.
No
to Sex and the
titties,
City.
no ass.
She had a lot of work done before by the time she got to Sex in the City.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him. Yeah, and then he's driving away.
So he gets in his truck and he has this whole long soliloquy that he does, and you find out that it's the Yeti or whatever the fuck we want to call that thing. I'm just referring it to as a Yeti. Is actually on the Pork Chop Express, which I think is the funniest fucking name for a truck ever. I forgot to bring that up.
Well, because he delivers pigs.
Yeah, so it's a Pork Chop Express. And he's doing his whole thing about, like, he starts out with his whole long soliloquy on his handle and ends it the same way. But lo and behold, the Yeti climbs out from between
Mouth
his
still
truck.
in the exact same position. It has been the entire goddamn
It's gonna
movie.
swallow a lot of bugs on the back of that car. I'm just saying.
So what do you think happened?
He came to a quick stop. The thing flew off. It slipped off. Its mouth got caught on the bottom of the truck.
He drove over him.
I'll tell you what happened. Not a sequel.
No.
Yes.
Not at all. And the reason why, $20 million budget, it made $11 million in the box office. Talk about a fucking flop. Now, with that said, though, this movie is rated as a cult classic at this point. Because it is actually not that bad as far as to watch it, but trying to...
Don't get ahead of us. Save that thought. We'll go over it when we get the results right after this commercial break. It's commercial time. Vic, why don't you tell the people where they can find you at?
You can find me online on social media at MillerKing51, or you can also find me playing games all day, all night long on Xbox One at Black and Angry. That's BLAQ and Angry.
Corey?
You can find me on Twitter at NKOGonzo.
You can find me at BradScottComedy.com and at BradScottComedy on social media. Follow The Showdown on Twitter and Instagram at The Showdown Pod, and give us a like on Facebook, The Showdown Podcast. Somebody should. And with that, let's get back to the show and see if Big Trouble in Little China is going to make it to our illustrious Hall of Fame.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
And we are back. We are here today talking about the 1986 movie Big Trouble in Little China. And now we are going to find out if it goes into our Hall of Fame or if it's not a survivor. So, Vic, I'm going to let you go first.
This movie is in big trouble, even if it is in Little China. It's not gonna
Big
make
Trouble
my
with Big
list.
Vic?
Exactly. It's not making my list. I remember watching this movie earlier on and really enjoying it and having fun watching it. And it wasn't that it was horrible in the fact that it's just a campy kind of ridiculous kung fu type movie, but Americanized kung fu movie, I should say. But it just didn't hold up to like, I found myself bored watching it at this point. And where I don't ever remember having that feeling. So with that in mind, I can't let it in.
Corey?
Yeah, I gotta agree. I was never like a huge Big Trouble fan, but I liked it for what it was worth, and and it's gotten kind of a cult following and whatnot. But I question that. I really do. It's like, have they watched it recently? Because obviously the effects aren't great because it is mid '80s. But I didn't find myself bored. I just was, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was boredom. I was just like, this isn't that good. I mean, I think if there would have been like some more one-liners in there, some more memorable lines, maybe that brings it up a little bit more. But I just was not feeling this one at all.
It's around the board. This movie fucking sucked.
Who picked this one?
Not me.
Oh wait,
it was you.
Yeah, I think it was you.
I know.
You were emphatic about it. In fact, actually, now that
I know. See, that's the thing. I think I was.
I saw it when I was a kid, and I remember being kind of like bored when I was a kid. But I was like, maybe I wasn't able to follow the plot as well. No, it just sucked. Like it just sucked. You could tell it wants to be something it's not.
Yeah.
And to me, it wasn't funny enough. And at the same time, it wasn't bad enough to be so bad it's good.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it reminds me like of Masters of the Universe. And this, my friend, is no Masters of the Universe.
Oh, God.
It's back, Corey.
I know.
You remember the bane of your existence?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
remember
but
all
it's
those
still
times?
lost.
It lost, but this sound has gotten the best of you many times since.
It haunts my dreams.
It does. Sorry, go ahead, Corey.
No, that's all I had. Yeah.
God damn it. You couldn't have helped me out on that?
I didn't know it was coming back.
Why do you think I would just all of a sudden want you to talk?
That's a good point.
How many episodes have we done? And you think just now I'm like, I want to hear from Corey.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, yeah, we all agree this movie was just boring. It wasn't bad enough to be like good bad, and it just...
Well, it wasn't a hit in the box office. It wasn't a hit with the people in general. I haven't seen...
It has a fucking 81%.
But it had, like I said, I haven't seen a movie that has a negative box office. Ever. This is the only movie I've ever seen that has a negative box office.
What, they were giving refunds?
Well, I mean, and when I say negative, I mean...
It didn't make its budget back.
You have a budget that's... of 20,
I like the fact that they get... Oh, you didn't like this movie? Okay, here's your money
You
back.
have a budget of $20 million and it only makes $11 million? That's a negative... That's a negative thing there. Like, it's... you don't see that very
83%.
On Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, that's critic
Is that
and
critic?
user. They're
Really?
both 83.
But you know what? It's because of the cult classic status now. At this point, it's
How
so
does it
bad
become a
people-
cult classic? Just because
Because-
of the characters? Because there's some
Well,
weird characters? Is that it?
Because there's weird characters, and for whatever reason, there's a certain subset of movie watchers that think if a movie is really bad and you watch it and get enough people to watch it, you can turn it into a cult classic, and then you're part of that clique. So
You think rating has something to do with it too?
of course, yeah. I mean,
Because I think that's when I saw it the first time, was after Mortal Kombat, because I was like, I recognized that, and I was like, oh, I want to see this.
yeah. Because you're like, hey, what's Raiden doing in this movie?
Yeah, no, I thought I thought it was actually Raiden from the game. Like, I thought it was a Mortal Kombat movie I just was never aware of.
They did a really good job of making him look exactly fucking like him too. So, I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, there's supernatural stuff in it, which is kind of intriguing. There's obviously high flying wire fu in it, so that's kind of intriguing. But it's just an Americanized kung fu movie, and I think that they were trying to play off of the successes that Kurt Russell has had in his other movies, and say, well, let's put him in this situation and see if it pans out too.
Do you think with the rumor of a remake that that will help any? Do you think that they'll fix any mistakes that may have been in this one? Maybe add
I can tell
more
you one
humor?
thing: it'll make more money.
Oh, I'm
Like
sure
right
it
off
will.
the bat, it's going to make
Well,
more
it's
money.
going to have The Rock, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, but not only that, but now it's got a cult following. If they were to put the same movie out and with the cult following it is, if they were to what do they say when they
Re-release?
re-release the movie, it'd make more money than it made back then. I have a feeling just because of its current status. But
and people want to go see it.
Yeah, it's like
In the
because
in the theater.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we haven't seen it on the big screen before. That's what a lot of people do. I hear that a lot with different movies. I haven't seen it on the big screen. And
Sorry,
they will
I'm so sorry. That was rude.
Yeah, I'm sure you're so sorry. There it is.
it is to laugh. For me, at
I'm
least.
sorry. I'm a dick. I'm a dick. I'm a dick. Corey, go ahead.
One more time.
No, Vic,
You're a dick.
that's just ruining.
I was talking about the dick.
Oh,
part.
okay. You're just, that's
See, look
just
at you, see?
running the joke into the ground. Okay, go ahead,
All
Corey.
right. Anyway, I think I fucking knew it. I'm done anyway.
No, okay, go. Look, it's down. My hand's off the button.
Is
hands
it-
off the button.
Is it now?
It's no. Look, see, look, my
Okay.
thumb's behind.
All right. Well, anyway, I was gonna say that a lot of people, when a movie does get re-released, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go see it on the big screen. I never got to see it on the big screen before." So yeah, I think in that aspect, if
And
did do
because they
that-
would fucking, I mean, just ticket prices alone, how much it's gone up,
Yeah.
it would make the budget easily.
Oh,
if
yeah,
it was
yeah.
a flop, it would still probably make the budget back.
oh, it
Right.
would make it would make 20
because
million.
they put it in 3D and
Yeah, I don't know if they go that far with this one. Maybe you could do it with like the lightning special effects that they had in there,
Mm-hmm.
if they call it special. But yeah, I think people would definitely go see
the
it.
eye
but,
thing
yeah, I
floating
think too.
around in
Yeah,
3D.
yeah. Oh, I think we're giving them
Stupid-ass
ideas. Maybe we
Yeti.
should shut up.
Oh yeah, then they might. Yeah, well,
But
I would not go
but,
to see it.
But in regards to a remake, though, it's going to star The Rock. So yes, you're going to make at least 20 million on it. They've got to do a lot to improve either the story or
Well, I mean, if you really look at it, if they had have done the story itself is, it's the
Mediocre.
supernatural being who kidnaps women and tries to sacrifice them to maintain his power. He's got these super beings working for him that are almost indestructible or unbeatable. He has creatures roaming around his dungeon lair. Like all of those components would make for an interesting movie. I just don't think they had the ability to put it all together and turn it into something that everybody would like.
Yeah.
And it was just so off match. Like you start off with this gang war, and then you have these supernatural beings pop out of nowhere. It's like it just seems like it wasn't cohesive
And
at
what
all.
was the point of the gang war?
Well,
It never factored into the entire thing, except that you had one gang go
well,
down there with
one
you.
of the gangs worked for Lopan. That was his gang. The ones that were holding the funeral were
But-
the good guy gang.
But when Lopan first shows up in that alleyway, they're all scared of him.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
So
you have the
I'm
good guys
wondering.
and bad guy gang, but like when it came down to it, like when he showed up, which doesn't even really like why the hell did he show up in the first place? Like
Yeah.
there wasn't any real reason for him to have been there. But apparently those guys have been selling him women. The one gang has been selling him chicks.
Okay.
So that's kind of where it all comes into play.
Yeah.
I think they were supposed to be kidnapping a woman to give to him so he could do whatever he was supposed to do. But again, it's so kind of convoluted. Like the story is so muddled up together. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
It doesn't.
If you take several components of this movie and turn them into an individual movie, like a gang war about Chinese, triads and things, that movie's been made.
Yeah, I mean,
the supernatural martial arts movie, that movie's been made.
I mean, maybe if you took some of the highlights of the script, kept them, dropped the rest out, and then reworked the script in between, you might be able to have something there. But overall, they've got to do something.
What I said
hopefully
was
better.
right, though, because according to IMDb, the people that watch this movie also watch Escape from New York, Escape from L.A., They Live, are all movies that are associated with people that like this movie.
Or directed by John Carpenter,
Oh, yeah.
or have Kurt Russell in it.
Right. But, yeah, so, I mean, it's like I said, and I think that's why that's the only reason why he was in this movie.
Yeah.
Because he
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
match anything to do with this movie. They have this white girl and this white guy in this martial arts movie for no real good reason. Like, why is she the only white chick working in a newspaper that apparently is in Chinatown?
No, that other lady was there too.
But why in Chinatown? That was just her friend.
I thought she worked for the newspaper too.
Right, but why are they in Chinatown?
Oh, who knows?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I think they were investigating the whole.
They were investigating.
prostitution thing.
They were investigating the slavery ring, I
Yeah.
guess. But it still doesn't make any sense. And then the fact that it's just
Yeah.
I don't know. Bad choice, Corey. Thanks a lot.
Hey, it had to happen.
Oh, you're saying all of your other choices are much better?
Yeah. At some point, you're going to get some bad ones. So, like Masters of the Universe.
So, moving on, let's stop talking about this horrible movie.
Okay.
The movie itself is considered, like we said, a cult classic, and that got us thinking, what are some of the other cult classics out there? And we looked up the IMDb 400 greatest cult movies, and Corey, why don't you give us the top 10?
Okay. You want me to start with number 10?
Yeah, let's start with 10 and work our way up.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about what movies we think should be higher on the list.
Okay. Number 10. This is one I haven't seen. I'm not real sure either one of you have either. Harold and Maude.
Heard of it, haven't seen it.
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah. It came out in 1971. It's got some old lady and
It's got this old bitch in it.
it's got some old bitch in it. Ruth Gordon and Bud Cort, who you might or might not know who was in Dogma. He played the bearded dude that was God, ended up being God. Alanis Morissette came down to Earth in Dogma, and that's the form she took on. Was Bud.
Oh, the guy that was playing skee ball.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, okay.
So again, they came out in 1971. None of us have seen it, and it's supposed to be good. It's young, rich, and obsessed with death. Harold finds himself changed forever when he meets a lively, I can't pronounce that word, some old lady named Maud at a funeral.
Eh.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Number 9 is Tron.
The original Tron.
The original Tron.
I can see that.
I've seen this movie.
I've never seen it.
You never seen it?
Really?
Vic, when was the last time you saw it?
Early 90s.
I saw it right around the time that the sequel came out. I think it may have been after the sequel came out. After I saw the sequel, I went back and watched the original. Yeah. To me, it doesn't hold up. It doesn't hold up at all. I was always, when I remember when I originally saw it, that I had a hard time understanding. I know, that they are the computer viruses and whatnot. I got that. But it was hard for me to mentally picture how these are. You know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, I got you. But what it comes down to is like the story itself is supposed to be this whole allegory how humans are a virus on whatever. It's this weird thing, but what makes it a cult classic for most people is that it was a visual like first for a lot of things. Like
Yeah.
for when that movie came out, like you didn't see like light cycles and disc weapons and things like that. It was just something that a lot of people glommed onto that in the sci-fi genre that were like, oh my god, this is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think
that's what gave it its cult classic.
And that's the thing that I always had a hard time grasping my thoughts around was the cycles and the discs, and it's like, and the people walking around. It's like, wait a minute, you guys are viruses, but you look like people. You're riding bikes, but that's not really a bike.
It's a cursor.
Yeah, it's like I don't get it. So for me, and even the sequel, I didn't like the sequel either. So for me, that didn't really. If we do that on the show, I'm already saying no. It doesn't. It does not hold up. Number 8, we have heavy metal.
We were talking about this.
Yeah, we were just talking about this. We talked about doing an animated battle, and I had mentioned heavy metal. This came out in 1981. It's got John Candy, Joe Flaherty, who was a comedic actor. You'd seen him in other things. This was originally a comic book, if I'm correct.
Correct.
And it's like 3 or 4 different stories, and they somehow intertwine, all revolve around this glowing orb that a taxi driver, I believe, I'm trying to remember if this is right, that a taxi driver finds, and it's all these different stories that weave throughout that. With it coming out in 81, this is something people hadn't seen, animated wise at this time, because
and it was to be completely honest, everyone thought it was just filthy, so you had to see it.
It was, I mean, because it's not with it
the
being
opening
animated.
scene where he kills that prostitute.
Yeah.
With it being animated, there's language, and there's nudity, and there's sex, and it's just like that's something you hadn't seen in a film before.
I'm excited for Sausage Party.
I have seen the
previews
trailer.
for
I saw the trailer for that.
It's fun.
The first
Looks
time I was
funny
like, "Are
as
you
hell.
fucking kidding me? Is this really what we?"
That looks
come down
really
to?"
funny.
Yeah,
Have you seen this preview?
yeah,
for it?
yeah. I have.
Like, we're going. We've been saved. They think they've been saved when they get taken
Oh my
out of the-
fucking god!
But anyhow, I actually really like this movie, and the sequel's good, but it's not as good.
They tried to.
Yeah, they tried.
They tried to, I guess, pull the same feeling that you got from the original into that movie, and it's just not the same. They were literally trying too hard.
Yeah, but yeah, I still like this movie just because it's so crazy, and even today you don't really see this. Am I right? The Bakshi did the animation on this. I don't know. Okay. I might be wrong about that, but yeah, I mean, I like this movie. I don't know if
I liked it. I remember watching it for the first time and being like, holy shit, this is a cartoon. Why is this on TV? But then I realized I was watching cable. So now I understand. But as far as it being like a cult classic, like I don't know if I really
I think
look
the
at it
reason
that way. I just think that it was another groundbreaking thing that people weren't used to seeing, so they all just kind of like, you have to see this thing. And,
I think that's what got it into the cult classic thing. Would I put it in the top 10? No.
right.
You know.
Next.
Next is Clerks. Brad, have you seen it?
I have not.
Jesus, have you seen any movies?
No.
Do you watch movies?
Really?
From
this guy?
Yeah, I know. Obviously, Vic, I'm sure, has seen
Yes.
it. I've seen it. This is actually a movie that started it for me as far as Kevin Smith films. When I first saw this, Chasing Amy had already been out, so it wasn't just like, oh yeah, of course it started there because that's his first one. No, I actually saw this, and I was actually working at a grocery store when I first saw this. So the whole bit with the eggs and the person going through all the eggs and the milk, I saw that all the time when I was working. So that I could relate to that. And it's one of the things that got me wanting to become a filmmaker as well too. That and Reservoir Dogs, I saw them nearly around the same time, and so those are the things that kind of got me wanting to do that. So yeah, this one. Definitely. I don't know if I put it necessarily in the top 10.
I would put it in the top 10 mainly because it has so many memorable things in it that anyone that's ever watched this movie would be like, if someone talks about Snowballs, they know what that's from. They,
37.
you talk about, I hear people do this all the time. I'm not even supposed to be here today. Like, and that's just it's an open reference to that thing that makes it something that everyone seems to remember. And that's why he's getting ready to film a third one after it, because everyone remembers that, that thing. And for them to, the interaction between Dante and Randall is like anyone who's worked at any kind of a small shop, fast food place, anything like that, they've had those two people that represent Dante and Randall that worked with them, and you could go, Jesus fucking Christ, these idiots again. And I think that really kind of brings in those, you have the guys that just hang around for no good reason. Shit. At my arcade, I have a Jay and Silent Bob that show up at my store all the time, and they don't do anything. They just kind of lean around and watch other people play games and talk to each other and be idiots. So,
Look, Corey and
those
I are
people
just trying to
there.
spend time with you, Vic.
Yeah.
Trying to get close.
We'll see how you really feel about us. The next movie is Fight Club. Brad?
I like that movie.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I've seen that one.
I have. I've seen that, and I like that movie. And I will say though that like this list is kind of.
Do you really think that's a cult classic though?
I would not put it in the
It's a
top
pretty
10.
mainstream, popularized movie. Like,
Yeah,
wouldn't look
I
at
don't
it as
know
a
if I'd
cult
put it up
classic.
there.
Well, no, like, okay, so I was confused about this too. Like, hang on, I got my list all fucked up. Like, here's what I didn't understand, okay? They have, like, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense to me, because, like, Star Wars is on this list. It's like 100 and something.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, right?
Well, it depends on what their definition. Like, if they're saying, "Oh, well, if the movie made a bunch of money, then maybe it goes lower on the list of cult classics." Cult classics shouldn't be like. I'm getting ready to. I'm looking up the definition of a cult classic right now.
Okay, well, they have Orgasmo
I love that movie.
over it.
If you have not seen Orgasmo, find a copy of that and watch it. It's
movie's
freaking hilarious. It's from Matt Stone and Trey Parker
Well,
from South
But
Park.
here's the thing, but it doesn't look like budget or anything is a
Plays into
factor.
it.
Because I mean, but you have, like, Pink Floyd The Wall, number 24, and again, that's ahead of Star Wars, Goodfellas, Masters of the Universe.
Of course, you had to throw that one in there.
So it says here a cult classic, also commonly referred to as cult film, also commonly referred to as a cult classic, is a film that has acquired a cult following. Cult films are known for their dedicated, passionate fan base,
Really? So you think...
an elaborate subculture that engages in repeat viewings, quoted dialogue, and audience participation.
So how the
And
hell
you-
is Star Wars?
How is
so
Star
low
Wars
on the
rated
list?
lower
Well,
than Natural
because-
Born Killers and Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Yeah.
Those do have followings. Well, at least Killer Clowns.
Oh,
does.
really?
But I'm sorry.
Star Wars doesn't have a
Star
following?
Wars has religions that have been based after it. Because
Yeah.
of
That's
this
true,
movie.
that's
I
true.
mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
if
yeah, you're
anything,
right.
that should be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And, like, Stephen King's It, they have 200. What's wrong with them? That's a showdown champion. They have Halloween rated ahead of it. Obviously, they've never listened to the battle.
Showdown.
I should have used that as my argument.
They have... Okay, so they have the Super Mario Brothers movie rated ahead of Star Wars.
That's ludicrous.
Super Mario Brothers
have to be
movie
looking
is
at this
193. Star Wars is 208. How can you look at that to
They
explain that?
have to be looking at this as the movie had to have been a flop.
Okay, but
Or some sort of failure in order to be ranked higher in the you know.
okay, well, don't you think The Howling was a flop?
Most
that
likely.
movie, the original Howling movie, did
That does
pretty
have
well.
a following.
That
Now,
did pretty well.
no, I'm sure it was a flop as well.
But I'm saying that movie's lower than Star Wars. So by your definition of it being a
would have had to
flop
have done better
than Star Wars,
right?
So
no.
that's why it doesn't make sense
Yeah.
to do it that way. There's
That's
no
true.
logic to
There's
this
no
list.
logic to the list at all.
But continue,
All right,
please.
so-
All right, so continue
Fight Club
with-
was
yeah.
great. The Fight Club was good. That's a good movie. I liked it. I mean,
Do
there's
you
no
think?
that doesn't make
have
sense.
you watched
even
it
when
more than once?
I think so. Yeah.
I think a movie that's considered to be a cult classic would have to be something that I'm going to walk up to you and be like, dude, have you seen this movie? You have to see this movie. Like, and then have a bunch of people have that same kind of reaction to it, where it's not just like a mainstream thing that everyone's seen. I think it has to be almost something that's down, like, it's almost like, have you heard about that movie? Like,
For
you gotta
me,
see that movie.
Fight Club is one of those. Yeah, it's great the first time. The second time, okay. You don't like it as much because you don't see what's going to happen in the end. You don't see it coming the first time. But the second time, you already know, so it's not like that.
I would put Tusk on this list.
As a cult classic.
Okay.
Twist ending. You didn't know what was going to happen. Craziness. Elaborate costumes. Fucked up premise.
That's for sure.
So what we got next?
Spinal Tap. Or This Is Spinal Tap.
I've never seen that either.
I love that movie. It's hilarious. Mockumentary on a rock band in the 70s. So freaking funny. I think pretty much is what kind of spawned Christopher Guest's whole mockumentary style that he ended up picking up later with Waiting for Guffman and Best in Show and I'm spacing it. Mighty Wind. And also, thank you for your consideration. All mockumentaries that he ended up doing and using the same cast. Some of the people were in Spinal Tap, and it's just great. And there's great lines too, and lots of things that you may not see the first time you watch it through, but then the second time you pick up on little things. So for me, top 10, possibly. Again, I don't know how you judge these to rate them. So,
I don't know. I don't think I could put it ahead of Office Space. Even without seeing it, Office Space was a great movie.
Yeah.
That's a cult classic.
Yeah, that's one that people like. Again, and like I said, I think it comes down to, in order to be a cult classic, it has to be, at least in my mind, it has to be something that is so memorable that almost every single thing of that movie. I have a red swing line stapler. And there was no such thing as a red swing line stapler. I don't know.
You bought
if you know
online,
this or
didn't
not.
you?
Huh?
You buy it online?
No, I bought it from Staples. But there was no such thing as a red swing line stapler. They literally started making them specifically because of this movie. And they had a short run of them at Staples. You could go and buy a red swing line stapler
That's funny.
because it became so popular and muddling, I'll burn the place down, all that. Even you did it
that's
during
a
one of the
stapler.
shows. All of that comes from Office Space. So the Michael Bolton thing, the beating the shit out of the freaking copy machine, all of that. And that's why I'm thinking, at least in my brain, a cult classic has to be something that is so memorable that they almost every bit of that movie. I think How High could probably go in as a cult classic, at least in my definition.
Yeah, that's not even on this
because
list.
that's something that's so memorable you just don't ever forget about that movie. Some of these very forgettable.
Yeah. Next one. I'm sure you guys have not seen this. I, however, have. Freaks. That's a movie that came out in 1932. Yes, it's in black and white, so Brad would definitely not like this movie. I don't know. Vic,
Hell no.
I was going to say, are you aware of what the film is?
No.
Okay.
I've heard of it, but I've never. No.
It's all set at a traveling carnival, and these quote unquote freaks, they're all the sideshow entertainers, and they end up murdering somebody, and then it's a whole ordeal through that.
So it is. What's that show? That's out right
Hold
now?
on, I know where you're going with this. American Horror Story.
Big Top. Yeah.
Yes,
That sounds exactly what it
that
is.
season was based off this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you ever listen to the Ramones, they've got a song where they say "Gabba Gabba Hey," that is taken from this movie. You're one of us. That's one of the lines. They're all sitting around a table and they're eating and they're saying "Gabba Gabba Hey," you're one of us. And so
Wonder if that's where Yo Gabba Gabba came from.
Ooh, it's possible. But yeah, that movie, it for a long time was banned. I think now I think there's some countries you still can't. It's still banned in other countries. It wasn't until recent, I think, in the last 20 years.
What number are we on?
This is number 4, I
That was
believe.
number 4?
Yeah, and it wasn't until within the last 20 years that you could find it on DVD here. So that's when I was able to find a copy and watched it, and it wasn't bad, but considering it was made in the 30s and what you saw, really surprising. Because it's the 30s, and so you're not going to see a lot of violence. And
Judging by today's standards, though, and some of the stuff that we've seen, would you consider it to be that violent of a movie?
No. But considering it was made in the 30s,
I understand
that's
that. I understand
yeah,
that,
it's
but
totally different.
Right now, I'm going, well, that's probably like network television.
Yeah.
From 30 years ago to now, that's
Yeah.
it's network television.
And going back to American Horror Story, they actually have a scene in American Horror Story that is just like it was shot, just like it was in the movie Freaks. So number 3, Blade Runner.
I love that movie.
Have not seen it.
Blade Runner is a great movie.
I haven't seen it either.
It's not that it's it is memorable. It's got some of the great just cinematic visual shit in it that's amazing. Some of this the cinematography in it is just absolutely amazing the way they did it. And then the storyline, the story behind it is whether or not this guy is a synthetic or not, and you kind of have to figure out whether or not he's a synth because he doesn't think he is.
Right.
We don't know if he is, but they start doing shit where you might think he is, and it's just a real mind fuck of a movie. I enjoyed it because of that. I don't know that I would actually call it a cult classic. I think it's a great movie. I think it is a classic movie, but I don't know if it's a cult classic. I don't see people going out and getting together and doing revivals of Blade Runner.
Yeah, but I think they're doing a. There's rumors that they're going to do a sequel
Yeah, there's
or a remake, one of the two.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Clockwork Orange is number 2.
I've seen that one.
I have too. Read the book as well.
That movie, man. I saw it. So I was in college, and I got really fucking high, really fucking drunk, my friends, and
This is high story time with Brad Scott.
me and my one friend were hanging out with these other two guys that lived in our dorm, and we got really fucked up, and we watched Requiem for a Dream, and that was a mind fuck, being fucked up watching that movie for the first time.
I can imagine.
Then immediately after, we still had a little bit of time before we were going to leave to go to this party. They put on fucking Clockwork Orange. And right after that fucking home invasion scene, I was like, nope.
Noped you right out of that one.
Gonna go do something else. Gonna do something happy thoughts.
Nope, right the fuck
Don't
want to
go to a party feeling like a psychopath.
Yeah, the book. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess it is just as violent as the movie is. I like them both, and I don't know. I don't know what that makes me if I like the movie, like how violent it is. But there, I mean, there's famous lines, famous scenes. Yeah, and I think what puts this in the cult list too is just it's not.
mainstream.
Well, I mean, to say it's not mainstream would make it seem like nobody's heard of it before. I think because everybody's heard the movie, but I think it's just one of those. The subject matter is not not what mainstream people would like. Yeah, so yeah, I this is one of my favorite Kubrick films for sure.
What's next?
Number 1 is
Say it. Go ahead. Go ahead, say it.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's right, bitch. That's right.
And if you remember, I did say it had the gimmick, and thus I'm not surprised with it being in here because that is one of the things that makes it a cult film. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying that I basically set it up a month ago, whenever that episode aired, that it is a cult film basically. So there's no surprise for me that it's in here. It doesn't make it a great film. I still stand by what I said about it. It's still a piece of shit. Some of the other movies, just outside the top 10, we got Office Space, Army of Darkness, Repo Man, which I've never seen.
Yeah, I've seen Repo Man. Army of Darkness is another one. Army of Darkness is another one that's got a very huge, solid following behind it because everybody loves Ash.
Yeah,
like there are
that and both the Evil Dead films too. Yeah.
But if you go to some of the conventions where he's at, you should see just the sheer number of people who are fucking Deadites. They're just complete fans of that entire line of films.
Oh yeah. Oops. Hold on, I lost my list. There it is. Big Lebowski, which I've never actually watched this movie all the way through.
What?
Yeah, I've got it. I just haven't had a chance to watch it.
The guy that gave me shit, huh?
Yeah.
What?
You're totally out of your element.
Mister, I still haven't seen Cliffhanger.
You don't even get that reference because you haven't fucking seen it. Yeah, you're completely out of your fucking element, Donnie. Like a child that wanders in through a movie halfway and wants to know what's going on.
Very good pull, sir.
To round out the top 20, you got Felix the Cat.
What?
Yeah.
That's like that dirty animated movie, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. It's because that's
his TV series.
From what I understand, that's hard to find. Very hard to find. Napoleon Dynamite.
Ugh.
I saw that twice in the theaters.
I hate that movie.
Labyrinth, which we already shot that.
You hate Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah, I really feel like my feeling on that movie is people just like it because it's so fucking stupid.
I saw it in the theater, and then when we got done, I told my buddy about it, and he, his wife, and Chris and I, we all went, and so we saw it a second time.
I thought it was funny.
Get it.
Yeah, it's just because it's such dry humor. That I mean, they're not. It's not
Look,
like
I like British comedy stuff. That's as dry humor.
Well,
as
that's
you
true.
get. And that movie just I don't know. It's just
Labyrinth is number 17, which we already shot that one to shit. Brazil is 18. I still have never seen that.
Never heard of it.
Terry Gilliam directed. De Niro's in it. Number 19, Easy Rider. I watched that movie like about 3 years ago, and I don't get it. I don't get why people love this movie.
it's a nostalgia thing for older people.
It's horrible. It's got a 7.4 average on IMDb, and that's way too fucking high.
Walk up to any guy on a Harley and ask him what he thought about Easy Rider. He'll be like, "This is the greatest movie ever."
Yeah. It's like, have you seen it lately?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. And finally, number 20 is Reservoir Dogs, which I already gave my opinion on that.
That should be much higher up on the list. To be completely honest.
Oh yeah, this episode was about Big Trouble in Little China, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you get like a premium package for this song? You distinctly said we should say something at the end of it. Don't you fucking give me that thing. Your exact statement was we mention it right at the end of it. Bullshit.
Do you remember what I said?
You said
No, just yes or no. Do you remember what I said?
kind of.
What did you say?
Here, fine. You know what? I'll do the whole thing myself. Ready? This is what I said. Again?
Yeah.
Somebody supposed to say again?
Yeah, but his line was kind of funny. Though.
I was gonna say.
I still thought mine wasn't bad for that either.
I know, but it's just the point. That every time
for you to bitch
I try
about?
to give some goddamn direction, you guys can't follow
It's
it.
the same freaking thing.
But yes, there wasn't really a whole lot to choose from in this movie.
At least it wasn't me.
Yeah,
And I still say it's bullshit.
this movie didn't have a great song choice.
No.
Its score, much like it, was boring as fuck and not fit for an episode of the Showdown. We need to do Kids sometime.
Thanks again, Corey.
Yeah.
We should do Kids sometime.
We could do that at the end of the school year. We'll time it with that because that's what happens at the end of the
May?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be coming up soon, apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was about to say, like, in that next month.
Well, no, we could do June for graduation.
Yeah.
Okay. So, coming this June to the Showdown Podcast Survivor Series, Kids. No, wait, that sounds bad.
Yeah, that does sound
It's
bad.
a little creepy.
And we are going to be doing a, hopefully, live episode. Although I guess technically they're all live episodes.
Yes, these are live. You're correct.
We're all
As
alive.
opposed to what?
As to dead.
Zombie.
But we're going to be doing an animated episode. Something else to look forward to.
At some point, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we teased
What's
that.
wrong
one
with
earlier.
that? What's wrong with saying that?
No, we can say that.
Um,
We don't want to give away too much.
well, it's called a tease.
I
To
know.
get people to come back and listen. If you're still listening to this, God bless you. What are you doing with your life? You know what? From Corey Miller, Vic Miller, I'm Brad Scott. Fuck this movie.
Get the fuck out of here. Thanks again, Corey.
My bad.